Hello and welcome to the Multicultural Media Online Conference hosted by the Ministry of Health, Multicultural Health Communication Service, and Multicultural New South Wales. Today, I am your host. I'm Jesusa, Helaratne, Deputy Director of the Multicultural Health Communication Service. And we have with us today two important guests, and we're really pleased to have them with us. We are joined today by Professor Tracey O'Brien, New South Wales Chief Cancer Officer and the Chief Health Officer of the Cancer Institute, New South Wales. Professor Tracey O'Brien, thank you so much for joining us. And we also have with us Khaled Kamalmaz, who is a psychologist and health services coordinator of the Lebanese Muslim Association. Thank you so much, Khaled, for being with us. Today, we're focusing on vaping and shisha and all the information that we could share with you for your multicultural media, as well as the health workers and community. But before we start, we'd like to acknowledge and begin by the traditional, acknowledging the traditional owners of the land from which we are all meeting from today. Professor Tracey O'Brien, Professor O'Brien, Khaled, and I are joining you from the land of the Camaragal people of the Eora Nation. We pay respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and also acknowledge the Aboriginal colleagues and communities who are joining us in this session today. We also pay respects to multicultural communities and refugee communities who are joining us in this session. We'll do our best to answer your questions. Please keep your microphones on mute, as always, but please type all your questions and your comments onto the chat so we can have a really lively conversation. I'm sure you have a lot of questions to ask Tracey and also Khaled on vaping and shisha. So we will start now. We know for a fact, Tracey, that we have a new campaign that's come out by Cancer Institute New South Wales and vaping, and it's had a bit of traction. We want to show you what this video is so that you know what this campaign is all about, and it's quite interesting.
I just woke up like gasping for air and just rushed me to hospital.
My lungs just felt like they were on fire.
And I'm coughing black stuff into a tissue.
For me to all of a sudden have lung pain in my 20s, I really did think I was going to die.
That is such a powerful campaign because it talks about real lived people who have lived experience and young people with that. Tracey, tell us all about this campaign.
Yeah, look, it is a very powerful campaign. Jess, that was just a snippet. There's a lot more to the campaign than that. And we know that vaping is an incredibly important health issue, particularly affecting young people. Many people, many communities right across New South Wales are really concerned about this issue. So is New South Wales Health. This campaign's come from really talking to young people, understanding their views. We've talked to over 600 young people that have vaped and given up vaping, and really the message was very clear that it's understanding what the known health harms of vaping are now today. Young people aren't too worried about what's going to happen in 10 years or 20 years, but they want to know how it's hurting their health. So it's a factual campaign. It is in the voices of young people, and I think it hits home on a very important health issue.
And Khaled, you're a psychologist, and you've worked with a lot of young people as well, and this is really an important issue to address.
No, it definitely is. It's been like rising a lot over the last couple of years. And unfortunately, there hasn't been too much information out there. So the lack of health information and research has, slowed down the process a bit. But I think now, especially with the launch of the campaign, we're catching up.
Tracey, why are vapes so harmful?
Yeah, so when you inhale a vape, there's 200 odd chemicals in that vape. There's no control on what chemicals go in there, but they're really hazardous, nasty chemicals like bug spray and chemicals, that weed killer, nail polish, things like that, and can go right down into your lungs. Not to mention that vapes contain nicotine, which is one of the most powerfully addictive drugs that is known. So the immediate health harms, the evidence is very clear that vaping causes breathlessness, it causes lung damage, it causes nicotine addiction, it can cause nicotine poisoning, and it can also cause burns from exploding vapes in people's pockets, in people's mouths, all sorts of things. That's known evidence that is factual, undisputed, and that's what's being portrayed in the video of those young people. Those things have actually happened to them.
And it's interesting because it is colorful. It is made to look as if it's quite enticing for young people, but it's dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous indeed. And you're right. It's color. It's done in sort of toy-like shapes. It's got lots of flavors. It looks like it's not as nasty as a cigarette, but it is. There are chemicals in vapes that we know cause cancer. We don't know the long-term effects of vapes. They haven't been around for a long period of time, but we know the chemicals like arsenic, like chlorine, like mercury, like benzene, which have been proven into vapes. They all are linked to causing cancers. So I don't think we want to wait for 20 years to prove that. But the immediate harms, the nicotine that's in the vapes, even the colourful ones that you describe that are supposedly nicotine-free, nearly all of them contain very high levels of nicotine. And actually you get more nicotine from a vape than you do from smoking a cigarette almost, because a young person can be sucking on the vape all day and having lots of different puffs. One of the cheapest single-use vapes that can be bought and obtained, that can be the equivalent of about 50 cigarettes.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's scary
really
stuff.
scary.
It's very addictive. It causes, the nicotine addiction itself can cause increased anxiety, agitation. It's been linked to depression. In a young person can affect a developing brain. So these are really important health harms that I think that the community has an increasing awareness about.
Yeah, and it just seems, it looks like a tiny piece of item, but it's so dangerous and for your health. Now, Khaled, having worked with young people, and you've seen the ad, you've seen how it's explaining just how harmful it is, because many kids out there think that, okay, it's not going to harm me until after a few years, but it is true. It could affect you right now. And in terms of working with young people, how, in your experience, what is it that how could we change that behavior?
I think, one of the most important things is like, what yourself and Professor O'Brien mentioned in terms of like the marketing of these products. They're so colorful, they're so enticing, and they're pretty much sold as like, just like flavored air. A lot of the kids just think it's like a flavored air, as if they're having, chewing gum or something like that. So I think for us, we need to make sure we break that association between these products, looking good, looking, like they're, this attractive thing, cool. And we want to just move on towards like, those health harms, that are there right now.
Thank you.
Maybe add to
Yes.
that as well, Jess. I think there's a whole suite of things that the government, both in New South Wales but also the Australian government, is working on, and some of those things are making access to these products. And people will have seen in the media how stores have been raided and illegal vapes have been captured up. So the laws have changed to make it much harder. It is illegal for anybody under 18 to be able to purchase this, and it's illegal for anything to be sold with nicotine in it unless you've got a pharmacy prescription. Now we know that doesn't happen. There's a store on every corner and it is easy for young people, but there is a suite of things that are being done in the policy and in the legal realm to tighten up on that. The campaigns about increasing our own health awareness and education for everybody to understand just how harmful it is, for young people to understand how harmful it is. And the other thing is that's happening, and the campaign links to help to quit, and that's incredibly important because nicotine is so addictive. So there are links on the campaign to help people be able to quit vaping and to support people to be able to do that.
Now, Tracey, there are questions about, does it, a lot of people think, oh, it relieves stress, it relieves, it's good for just de-stressing when you've got a bad day. Is that true?
No, it's not. It's one of those things that are And it's a bit complicated to unpack, so I'll try and keep that simple for you. It's true that if you're stressed, you can have cravings for things. It might be food if that's your vice. If you happen to be a smoker or a vapor, then it might be for nicotine. What happens when you vape is that the nicotine gets inhaled into your lungs. It goes quickly up to your brain. That gives you a release of some hormones that make you feel good for a little period of time, and you can relax a little bit. But as time goes on, very quickly, nicotine has a very short, what we call half-life. It doesn't stay in the blood for long. So once you stop vaping, within an hour or two, you start to withdraw, and it's the withdrawal from the nicotine that makes you anxious, makes you sweat, makes you agitated, and that makes you want to reach for another one. And that's the cycle of addiction. And we know from 60 years of smoking cigarettes, it's the nicotine in the cigarettes that's so addictive. The same thing is being repeated with the vaping. So there is very clear evidence that vaping, because of the nicotine, actually increases anxiety, agitation, problems with attention, can even actually increase depression and things like that.
What if you're hooked? Can you quit?
Yes, absolutely, you can. Now, we've got to acknowledge that is a powerful thing to be. Quitting is hard, there is no question, but absolutely taking those first steps to quitting can be life-changing. You need support to do that. It's never too late. There's always a way. The nicotine withdrawal's worse in the first week. After a couple of weeks, it actually it wears off and it's much easier. But there are lots of resources. We'd encourage people to talk to their local doctor. You can call Quitline on 13 78 48. We'll put the number in the chat in case I've got it wrong there, Jess. You can jump online to I Can Quit. There are apps you can download, friends and family you can lean on with a bit of support. But it is absolutely 100% worth taking those first steps. And if you fail the first time, get back on the horse, try again. The return to your own personal health, you'll feel better. And that's what the young people told us as well. They felt so much healthier and well and better for quitting.
And I think, like you said, there are services, and our colleagues from the Multicultural Health Communication Service website will put those links and numbers on the chat, and some resources that have been translated for you. But also, like you said, just lean on someone. And Khaled, that is really important with the work that you do. It is about just being able to talk about the issues that you're facing.
Yeah, no, definitely. They, a lot of people that either vape, smoke, or even use like shisha, there's usually like a reason behind that. So, whether it's things like related to boredom, whether it's, their perception that, it alleviates their stress, so speaking to someone about it can really assist from that perspective. And also like in terms of just like quitting, whether it's vaping or shisha, even like speaking to a counselor or a psychologist, like a drug and alcohol counselor or a psych, could really help, because they can give you the tips and strategies how to reduce those withdrawal symptoms, and some maybe like other activities that you can partake in instead.
Well, thank you so much for that. And if you have any questions for Khaled and Professor Tracey O'Brien, please let us know and put them on the chat, and we can have them answer your questions. But Tracey, is vaping legal?
No. Well, yes and no is the answer. It is illegal to sell a vaping product to anyone under 18. That's clear. It is illegal to sell a vaping with any kind of nicotine in it that is not either through a pharmacy with a doctor's prescription. And it is illegal to smoke a vape or to inhale a vape, to vape in any way with an e-cigarette in just the same way as it is with a cigarette in certain areas. So there are public areas where you can't smoke, like pools and enclosed spaces and indoor areas, and those same rules apply for e-cigarettes or vapes as well, and there can be on the spot fines.
And for the campaign that you've recently launched, what is available for our multicultural media?
Yes, there's the campaign itself, elements of the campaign are available in 5 different languages, but there are a number of different translated materials relating to information generally about vaping and about quit services available online at the Cancer Institute website, which we can put in the chat as well, on the New South Wales Health website as well.
Thank you. Now, we talked about vaping, and we want to talk about shisha because these are the tools or vices that the young people are using. So Shisha No Thanks campaign is one of the campaigns that's been funded by the Cancer Institute and run by Southeastern Sydney's local health district in partnership with universities and also with other stakeholders. And of course, the Lebanese Muslim Association was a key partner for the campaign. So we want to just look at this video of how young people call shisha and what you could do as an individual and watch this in changing perception and what you can do to change behaviors.
Hey. Happy birthday!
Hey, thank you! How are you?
So guys, what's the plan? We're watching a new movie, right?
Hey, hang on, no. I booked that cafe, Shisha. Remember those new flavors we're talking about?
Oh my god, I would love a hookah right now. We should try the cherry lime.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. I really want to try that flavor.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I don't know, guys. I'm not sure it's such a good idea. Coach says I gotta get fit or he's gonna put me on the bench.
Hey, you always do this. You ruin it for everyone.
Hey, Sam, take it easy. I'm not sure we should be doing this either. My uncle, he's really sick right now and he might even have cancer.
He was my soccer coach. I wouldn't have made it to the state team without him.
He does not want me smoking Arguila.
Come on, you guys. Would you two just relax? I mean, it's his birthday. Shouldn't he get to choose?
Okay. Let's go to the movies. Don't worry, they might have pumpkin flavored shisha.
It better be.
Good one, Sam.
Alright, so what movie are we guys watching? The horror one?
Something with jump scares.
Is it really?
Oh, my bag, wait a minute.
We gotta run all the way there because he's gotta eat this up. It's gonna be a good birthday.
It's also a powerful video where you can make a change. You can make a decision to not use it. And there are ways to do that with your friends.
Yeah, definitely. You know, shisha is something that's, you know, over the last 5 years or so has increased, you know, so much, you know, in cafes, in the public. And I really think, you know, the Shisha No Thanks campaign, you know, which was supported by Cancer Institute, New South Wales and funded by them, was really ahead of its time because, you know, 5-6 years ago, you wouldn't have really thought that, hey, you know, shisha is going to be an issue. You know, it needs, you know, addressing on such, you know, a large scale. But when we look at things now, we realize just how, you know, common it is. And now you've got that link also like with vaping that's going on. And you've got this whole misconception of, you know, shisha and vaping are always a better alternative to smoking cigarettes, which, you know they're all harmful.
That's exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
It's just, you think now it's not harmful, but it is.
Yeah, and look, I think we've got to be honest, we were a bit slow on the uptake with how harmful vapes were as a medical community. And I think, you know, things happen so quickly and the next thing we know, we have large numbers of young people that have picked up vapes. It's tripled in the last few years of people between the age of 16 and 24 vaping use. And same with shisha, it really has taken off. But the knowledge is there now that there are immediate health harms of vaping, and they're significant. They really are: lung damage, breathlessness, nicotine addiction and withdrawal, to name just a few. And then there's, of course, the likelihood that there are much longer term damages with the known chemicals that are in these vapes that potentially can cause things like cancer in the long term. It took us 20, 30 years to show the cancer-causing effects of smoking cigarettes. So we don't want to wait to make the same mistakes. What we also know is that shisha and vaping as well are gateways, but particularly the data is very clear on the vaping, a gateway to smoking. Young people who have never smoked, but who picked up vaping, are 3 times as likely to smoke. So it's a sort of it's a gateway to going back to smoking. So we don't want to lose all of the great decades of work. You know, I'm showing my age now, Jess, but when I was a young teenager 40 years ago and reached for my first cigarette, as everyone did back then, you couldn't, you know, there's a start and an end to a cigarette, and it takes sort of 5-6 minutes, and then you smell like smoke, and you can't actually consume that much. With shisha, as you saw, 45 minutes and 100 cigarettes. With vapes, you know, you can consume an awful lot equivalent in a very short period of time, because it doesn't smell, it tastes good, and you can just suck on it quietly while no one's there and no one notices. So the vehicle by which this drug is getting into young people has changed the landscape, and I think the damage could be even worse than in many ways.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Khaled, with your work with the Shisha No Thanks project, and you were running a clinic, and tell us more about that and how it was dealing with young people, especially in some cultures. This is something that is something that people do, and and in some cases it appears very sexy and very exciting to use it because it's colorful, it's got flavors.
Yep. I mean, with the Shisha No Thanks campaign, like one of the primary goal of it was to raise awareness about, you know, the health impacts of shisha smoking, and just to bring it out to the forefront a little bit. So that was like really good, and the team got a lot of like good outcomes from this Shisha No Thanks project, like, you know, all the different fact sheets that are now available to you know, to be used in clinics, for the community, for the youth. So that was all like, you know, something that was really good. At the same time, we were running a quit smoking clinic that was funded by Sydney Local Health District at the Lebanese Muslim Association. We had a lot of people that used to come in and you know, come in for smoking, and there was always that question of you know, I heard about this thing called vaping. I'm talking like maybe 5-6 years ago. You know, I heard about this thing, vaping. Is it better? Is it not better? And so, you know, it's quite prevalent, and it's quite entrenched, especially with shisha in terms of like culture, unfortunately. So that was one of the main like obstacles that we had as the LMA, you know, initially, was trying to go out there and bring something that's, you know, been common in the culture, you know, for the last, you know, I don't know, long period of time, and try to, you know, slowly just let them know, hey, you know, we know it's been part of the culture, but now we know that there's like, you know, health impacts with it, and we know that it's not good for our health. You know, maybe it's time for us to start, you know, dissociating away, you know, from it. So I think that was like the main challenge that we faced.
And then there's training also for workers, and there's resources, which is shisha and no shisha, no vaping as well in multicultural languages.
Yep. So if you just go onto like the Shisha No Thanks website, you know, you'll find all those amazing fact sheets, and there's also the training module. And I completed the training module like very early on. So if you're not too sure what a shisha is, or like hookah or argile, you know, go onto the website, do the training module. It doesn't take long, you know, at all, but it just gives you the insights into like, you know, the different parts of it, you know, how it works, how the tobacco is, you know, with the molasses, and how they try to cover up, you know, with different flavors and things like that. So it's a pretty good, you know, any health professional, any community leader really should just do this quick course just to see what people are actually, you know, using.
Thank you, Khaled. There's a question from Sarah Garcia. Hi, Tracey. Could you tell us about the effects of secondhand vape smoke and maybe shisha vape smoke? And is it harmful as secondhand cigarette smoke?
Yeah, look, we believe it probably is. We don't have the data yet because obviously people haven't been vaping for as long a period of time in the long term. But quite possibly it is, Jess. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah, for that question. If you have any more questions, let us know. Khaled, as a psychologist, can you tell about some of the challenges people may experience while trying to quit smoking or vape as well, and shisha?
Yep. So as Professor Tracey mentioned earlier, the obvious one are the withdrawal symptoms that they experience. But then again, with a lot of the clients that I see, it's usually that first week, 1 to 2 weeks where, the withdrawal symptoms are quite present, and then they just start to get less and less over time. But then you have all the other behavioral, aspects of it. So for example, things like boredom, that's always a challenge trying to figure out, what activities someone else can partake in. People might be experiencing things like loneliness. A lot of clients that I've seen also form this bond with the cigarette or like vape or the shisha. And it's like, when they're sad, they can go to their shisha. When they're with family and friends and they're happy, or it's like a family gathering or celebration, the shisha's over there. When they were younger, they'd seen their parents, use it. Now that they're grown up, they're getting their kids and stuff to prepare it for them. So there's this like lifelong association. And it's the way I explain it to clients, it's almost like a sense of grief, when we're letting go of these products. So just so that they're prepared, for the journey to come in terms of quitting.
Now, both vaping and shisha are different to smoking cigarettes. Are you allowed to use these products in smoking areas? And like you said, some people do it at home in their areas, but in other places?
No, there are laws that just as they apply to cigarette smoking where you cannot smoke and there are signs up saying can't smoke indoors, can't smoke there. There's a few public areas like beachfronts, pools, things like that. It applies to e-cigarettes and to shisha and other water pipes as well.
So the messaging, I think, is also for parents, not and to everyone, every family member, isn't it? That this is important.
Yeah.
That shisha vaping is as harmful.
That's right.
As smoking.
Yeah, and we would encourage, parents that have got young people or their family members that vape to have a conversation, and a supportive conversation to help increase their awareness, maybe point them towards the website or the ads and also the tools that are available for them to help quit. And for those people that do vape and they've got children or something, thinking about how you're role modeling and how you're, if you're talking about the second-hand vaping, one of the harms is that it normalizes the behavior as something that's okay if it's a person that people look up to, like a respected leader or elder or member of the family. Yeah.
In that case, Khaled, in the community, that's what is being done to communicate to not just the young people, but it also to the family.
Yeah, I think that's like the family unit is very important. And even like, with one of our most like recent activities in terms of Shisha No Thanks at the LMA, like with our Eid celebrations, we get like, tens of thousands of community members coming in on that one morning, like within a 1 to 2 hour period, down to Lakemba. And what we did is we just put like, just massive, messaging all over in terms of like shisha and vaping, and just handed out, some resources with, key messages and things like that. Because you got to get to like the whole family, I think, when it's something like that.
We're almost out of time, but it has been a very important discussion, and we have a lot of people online, and I'm sure this discussion will be shared across networks. But I just wanted to ask you, in terms of what's the next step. I think data is important, and how we continue to inform people about the harms of shisha, of vaping and smoking.
Look, I think data is important, but I think having conversations with communities, with your families, with people you love, and being open about sharing knowledge. I mean, this is what the campaign is all about. It's a behaviour change campaign, and you won't change your behaviour if you don't understand what the harms are. So it's about educating young people as well around the harms, so that everybody's got an awareness of what the harms are, and then they've got some resources to be able to quit and to be helped to quit, whatever it is that an individual needs. And then, as I said, there's a suite of other things that have been done at a government level to make it not as easy for young people to get it. So that, I mean, there are vape shops close to schools, there are vape shops selling things that they shouldn't be. So tightening up on that, tightening up on the borders of what's coming in and available. Right. So all of those things together are important. But I think for the listeners out there, it's about jumping online, educating yourself first and foremost, and then having a conversation with the people around you about the harms, and helping anyone around you or yourself in that quitting journey.
The quitting journey, Khaled, it is important. Like you said, it is. It's sometimes it's a journey from your family. So it is about withdrawing. But what do you think are the next steps in terms of the people who are online right now, the multicultural media and the community workers? What should we be doing from the learnings that you've had?
I mean, like in terms of all the professionals that are dealing, with community members, I think the first thing is like, part of your consults or part of your program or, whatever it may be that you are delivering, when you ask the simple question, do you smoke cigarettes, include the vape aspect in there, include the shisha question in there, because that's usually like, not too associated. And if the person does say yes, or, if you somehow, come to the conclusion, maybe someone else in their family does, send through some resources, be aware of the resources. We still got quite a long way, especially with shisha in terms of education, and the message, having that large scale reach. And I think, once we do that, the next step, which I think is already like commencing, in a lot of different places, is to actually start offering like those support services. So like, I mean, with Quitline, for example, they can just give Quitline a call, and whether it's smoking cigarettes or, vaping or shisha, I'm sure they'll get the information that they need and support over there. You've got I Can Quit, the website. You've got your local GP who's usually on top of things. And you've got community like support services. So just, you can be in touch with quite a lot of people.
Yes. And we're all working together. I think that's Professor Tracey O'Brien, thank you so much for joining us. Any last words? I think, we're so happy that you've joined us and shared your expert knowledge.
Yeah, look, I think just to echo Khaled's words there, I think it's about reaching out into community, sharing this message to educate everybody, be it healthcare workers, be it community leaders, be it mums and dads in the community, and the campaign is directly to young people as well, because young people are in charge of their own bodies, and so it's to educate them as well. And I think we are in it all together, and making sure that it's linked to help to quit is really important. Not just said it's bad for you, but that next step of how we can help you, and how we can provide things for you to help quit.
Thank you. And Khaled, thank you for joining us. Any last words?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's shisha, vaping or cigarettes, I think we want to associate, all of them with smoking and, health consequences. And, hopefully we can make some improvements.
Thank you so much, Professor Tracey and Khaled, for joining us. And thank you for joining us for this important session of Vaping and Shisha. The campaign is out there. Resources are available in multiple languages. We'll be sharing the recording of this session on the New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Service website, and also on the social media platforms of MHCS and New South Wales Health, and also on the Cancer Institute New South Wales. So thank you so much for joining us. Please start that conversation about shisha and vaping, no thanks. And having that conversation to ensure that we're all informed and raising awareness. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again in the next fortnight. Have a good day.